Hello and welcome back to United Financially. I'm your host, Josie Navarro with United Way of Eastern LaSalle County, and I'm here with Crystal Geiger from Financial Plus Credit Union. We hope you had a great holiday season and a happy new year. As we step into 2025, now is the perfect time to think about our financial goals and to set ourselves up for success for the new year. So we have a special guest today, Ashley. Ashley Meador is from Old National. Would you like to tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure, yes. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thanks for being here.
Yeah, my name is Ashley Meador. I work for Old National Bank,
right across the street.
Yes, we used to be First Midwest, if anybody doesn't recognize the name. We're actually here in Seneca. I grew up in Seneca, now live in the Sheridan area. Been in banking for almost 20 years, so have a lot of experience and personal experiences to share throughout those years as well. So thank you so much for having me.
And thanks again for being
here.
Ashley was kind enough to set up our location for recording today. And so can you tell us a little about where we are?
Yeah, so we're here in a building called the Lumber Yard. It's actually a building that operated as an operating lumber yard until the early 2000s. It has been recently renovated into a coffee shop. There's a cute home decor shop, and then office rooms that you can rent out. So
that's very cool.
Yes, and it's beautiful. I'm sure you guys can attest to the tour that we got earlier.
It is
today.
Beautiful. Yes. I even bought a t-shirt.
Yes. Ashley, we are very excited to have you here today. We're still learning about podcasting, and I'm so happy that you're on this journey with us. I know that we want to start again by talking about budgeting. I feel like you can never talk about budgeting too much. So Ashley, what type of advice have you learned over the years and you would like to give to our community?
I think the biggest thing is just having one in place, seeing where your money goes to, and finding a way to track that as well. I think most people let money slip through their fingers because they're not actually tracking where it goes. Ironically, as we sit here in a coffee shop, coffee is, a lot of people's daily go-to, and just the amount of money spent on just frivolous spending that people aren't aware of. Yes. Not saying that you can't do it, can't treat yourself, but you should be aware of where it's going, right?
I agree.
I actually did some calculations. So, on average, maybe an $8 cup of coffee each day is the equivalent of $40 a week, $160 a month, and $2,080 a year.
That's a car payment.
Yes.
Like if you were getting coffee every day, I know some people that get coffee more than once a day, that is a full car payment.
Yes.
I know that when you told me we were shooting here, I made sure the whole week, because today is Friday, I did not go out and buy any coffee because I wanted to buy a coffee here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what it's all about, is making yourself aware of the fact that you don't need it every day. You don't need to spoil yourself every day on those things. And also being aware of those items in your budget. You should be budgeting for little things to treat yourself, but you shouldn't have to do it every single day. And knowing how much those things can add up. So some of the tips that I have are going to be, there's all kinds of budgeting apps out there.
Yes.
Yes. So most banking apps offer a budgeting resource within their banking app. It'll analyze their spending, because obviously your bank can see all of that into different categories. And then allows you to set budgets for different categories as well. And then you can adjust it. And again, like I said, the biggest thing is just being aware of where all of it's going.
Yeah. I know at Financial Plus Credit Union, where I work, our online banking has that exact same thing where you can go in and kind of make a budget and see where your money's going and adjust to help you know what you need to do and not need to do.
Old National has the same thing. We call it money management portion of our app. So it also does analyze your spending and lets you group them into categories based on how the merchant processes the transaction, and then you can go in and set different budgets for each of those categories. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So if you're ready to start budgeting, you could probably contact the bank that your money is at and see what kind of options, what kind of apps, what kind of resources they have. Because I know we've talked about budgeting a lot, and I have recommended an app. There's plenty of apps out there, but I think it's a good idea to start where you're comfortable. at your bank?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the best idea is to be comfortable with a banker at your bank. Most people don't come in. They do everything electronically these days. So they're not even comfortable going in and talking about their finance. It's almost like an embarrassment. The first thing you can do is go sit down with somebody. You know, we do other things other than just open accounts and do loans for people. We'd be more than happy to help them along their way with budgeting and working on credit and all kinds of different things. We're there for those things as well. So yeah, having somebody in your corner.
And there's just so many options. And so I know we've talked about budgeting a lot, but we want you to find the budgeting tactic or the formula that works for you, because it might not be in today's episode, but it might be in the next episode.
Absolutely.
So okay, so for someone who struggles to get things started, like myself, what is an easy first step, like to start cutting costs in your life?
Sure. I said just analyzing where the money's going, and the things that are money drainers that people don't realize are subscriptions. Subscriptions to different things. Examples of that would be gym memberships. Streaming subscriptions. Most people stream these days. You probably have a couple channels you subscribe to that you don't even watch anymore, or you didn't even realize you had anymore. I have a couple. Recently got a car wash membership, and I don't go as often as I should to make it worth it. So just little things like that.
And while autopay is nice for making sure that I make my payments on time, if it's automatically pulling out a subscription every month, I'm not thinking about it.
Absolutely.
It's easily overlooked.
Yep.
So that's a good place to start.
Yes, sure.
Maybe making a list of your subscriptions and which ones you use the most. And if you need to cut costs, then cut that last one off the list.
Yeah.
Last three.
The other thing I wanted to highlight is the lifestyle inflation. So
I'm a big lifestyle inflator.
I am a little bit too, unfortunately, because I took a job promotion as a branch manager a couple years ago, and during car shopping, I was like, oh yeah, I can afford this now. Well, I didn't need it, you know what I mean? So lifestyle inflation is typically just when you inflate your lifestyle to accommodate for extra money coming in or less bills going out. You make more money, you're just spending it. You're not actually doing anything constructive with it.
I see.
Yes.
So you're saying maybe if you get a raise at work and so you have that extra income coming in, and you're saying we shouldn't spend it willy-nilly?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that it should have a purpose.
Okay.
Not necessarily that you can't go treat yourself to something, but if you're inflating your lifestyle, like I said in my example of a new car payment, that dollar amount that you're getting extra is just going to a new car payment. So it's not really changing your life at all, right?
Yeah, I see.
It's just that you got a little bit nicer car that you now have a huge car payment on, and you're not changing anything else. You can't work on anything else financially because it's just going to other items. So
right.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Okay. I loved what you just said, Ashley. Actually, my husband didn't get it raised, but we did pay off a loan recently. And so much money was going to that loan. And now instead of using that money willy-nilly, that money is now going into a separate account for a new vehicle, because we do know we need a new vehicle this year. So great advice to share with the people in our community listening to the podcast. Also, it makes you think of wants and needs, and I teach this all day, every day. We really have to figure out what our needs are and have our money go to that versus the wants that we have, and maybe not have our money go to that, which leads me into credit cards, because we use them all the time for the things that we want. I want to talk about credit cards and credit because these statistics are astronomical with credit cards. I think it's almost $7,000 the average credit card has on it right now.
Yeah, and that's a lot of money. And the interest rates on the credit cards are insane. So $7,000 is going to take you forever to pay off if you're paying the $100 minimum payment each month. And I don't know if anybody knows, but on your credit card statement, they actually calculate, they're required to now, tell you how long you would pay it off if you just make your minimum payment.
Yeah.
Nobody looks at that. No. Nobody pays attention to it.
No.
Because again, they think that, they get instant gratification from using the card. And, they can afford the minimum payment each month. They don't
Mhm.
realize how long they're actually paying on that and how much it's actually costing them in interest.
Right.
Yeah.
And just so our listeners know, in case they don't, do we want a high interest rate or a low interest rate on a credit card?
Absolutely a low interest rate.
Yes, a low interest rate. If you are somewhere signing up, make sure it is low as you can get it. Those high ones, it just means it's more money you are paying them.
Yes.
So I know at Financial Plus Credit Union, I've mentioned this in past podcast episodes, we do offer 2 credit cards. Our Visa Gold is $9.95 and our Visa Classic is $11.95. So those are really good credit card rates. I know they can vary up to over 30%. What does your bank have?
We actually have intro periods, and I know you even though intro periods can benefit the customer, you do want to make sure that you understand the terms of your product.
Yes.
Because an intro period does allow you to either make a large purchase that you can then pay off within the intro period, or maybe transfer a balance. But just realize that after that term, what your interest rate is going to be. So I do apologize. I don't remember what the rate is.
That's all right.
But 9 and you said 11? Or
11.95.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm glad that you said that intro. So again, read the fine print. So it sounds like with their credit card, it's a certain rate. It could be a lower rate for the first 12 months. But after that, the rate is higher. So when you're signing up for something like this, make sure you're aware of what that interest rate is after the term, because it could go up and you're again paying them more money. It is beneficial, like you said, if you know you can pay it off within that term.
I've actually added to my conversations with my customers. I don't want to sell a credit card to somebody that feels like they're going to get in trouble with it.
Yes.
So, it's not just about the sale, because they're going to come back to you in 12, 18 months when that promo interest rate is done and be in a worse off financial situation. So you're not going to put them into a product that doesn't work. Because again, we're going to work with them over the years. They're not going away after that you sell them that credit card.
Right.
So if it's going to benefit them, that's great. If it's not, I have that full disclosure to them when I talk products to them. So
well, and we work with our community. Like, we're part of our community. We're working within our community. We care about our members. I mean, you're our neighbor. You work at the grocery store. Like, we know you, so we're gonna obviously try to get you the best deal and keep you financially healthy.
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, and I know that I've talked about this before, but my parents convinced me, or we kind of talked about the idea of having credit. So when I went off to college, I started with the Visa card from my bank. And so if you're looking to get into building your credit, I think starting with maybe talking to your bank again, because like Crystal said, the bank's going to offer you, assistance when you need it, and they're probably not going to gouge you with their rate.
No.
So they're going to kind of help you with.
that.
So when I first realized that credit was a thing, and my parents, they said you can start with Financial Plus Visa card, and so that's what I did. And my limit at the time when I first opened it was $500, because it was very it felt like it was tailored to me, because I got to talk to the loan department who does the visas, and so that was going into college. Coming out of college, I'm thinking I'm a big girl now, and so I'm going to get a real credit card. And I applied for it's a Discover card, and so I filled out the application. At the time, I was living at home. I had no bills, and so my limit is insane. And my rate, I don't even know my rate. I signed up because it was a promotional, year interest free, coming up on a year, so we'll see what my payments start to be like. But it's easy to kind of just like I know that I'm still racking up my credit card debt, but I have they make me do the minimum payment. It's like $100, and I'm like, well, I can do that. I'll worry about it next month. I'll worry about it next month. And so it's never going to get paid off. But now that I have, so I know that it's never going to get paid off. As I'm going right now, I'm just kind of pushing it back to a later date. But now I've been thinking about getting a new car. And so now I have to think about my credit. And and it's going to be a lot different than before I had that Discover card.
Mm-hmm.
And so then what would you say to me if I was going to walk in to go buy a car and I realized that my credit is in the toilet? What can I do? What are my first steps?
At that point, I would probably suggest we put you on a budget to try to pay off the credit card debt, because you might not be in a position where numbers line up for either interest rates for a new vehicle, or, if you have a lot of credit card debt racked up, your credit score may have been affected by it already. And then, she's talked a little bit about debt to income. All of those credit card payments versus your income may not equate to being able to purchase a new vehicle. So obviously we can offer different alternatives to do the loan right then, but my suggestion for the long one would probably be to put you on more of a budget plan. And obviously we have debt payment methods that we might be able to discuss with you as well to try to get those paid down. But just being mindful, people should be aware of what their credit is. I actually was a victim of identity theft, and people come in all the time that are victims of this. And because of this, if people don't look at their credit, they don't know if things are going on. So I use that as well. Sometimes you push that issue down the road because you just don't want to deal with it because there's bad going on, but there could be much worse going on that you don't even realize. So that's actually a good example of something that could be going on as well. So you just want to check your credit too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. I just feel like it's really an easy cycle to get into because talking about wants and needs, I'm wanting that instant gratification, and so I'm swiping my credit card, and now I want a car and I can't get a car.
Mm-hmm. This is why when we typically when teens come in with their parents, to open their first account, I love to use the verbiage of, when you are 18, we're going to follow up with you, and I'd love to be part of helping you build your credit, because when most kids turn 18, if they don't have a banker on their side, they're just going to go out and do it however they've heard to do it. Go out and get a credit card and not use them responsibly. So if their banker is part of it, they can kind of help them, guide them on what products to use and how to budget themselves to make sure that they're not getting underwater on products like credit cards and things like that and getting into trouble, so that they can use it responsibly. Because one of the other things is too that you want credit established for yourself before you need it. So we have a lot of 20, 25-year-olds that come to us that want to buy a car, and either they've racked up credit card debt and don't know where to start, or they have nothing. They have nothing established. So, unfortunately, you want to have credit established by the time you need it. So, young kids, 18 years old, aren't thinking about it, but they should start thinking about it, even basic stuff at around 18, 19, 20 years old.
So when I had that $500 limit, I was able to pay it off. And so my credit was really good. I mean, it's easy when you're managing it well. And now I'm sure that it's quickly declining now that I have that credit card debt and I'm paying the minimum payment. Yeah. So it's easy to get underwater. A little longer, a little more work to get back to good credit, don't you think?
Yeah. And
unfortunately,
the biggest thing that I can say is you didn't get in that situation overnight. So if you're working to get out of it, you're not going to get out of it overnight either. I have a lot of experience. My husband was in a bad credit situation when we first met, and just like many Americans. So, bankers aren't immune to the issues either. So we can share personal experiences with our clients. It took me years to help get him back to a position where we were able to, buy a house together and buy vehicles together and things like that, because there were things that needed to be paid down or paid off. And then, after paying off things, it's reestablishing credit. So doing the things the right way. Luckily, he had a banker in his corner, and most clients can as well, as long as they're interested in reaching out. So, yeah. BankRate actually has really easy calculators. I was playing around with them, and one of them is actually a debt pay down calculator. So again, maybe if you don't want to go super into it and maybe just want to try to do it on your own, you can actually put in each of your debt items that you want to work on paying off, how much you owe on them, what the interest rate is. how much your minimum payment is each month. And then you can say, on top of the minimum payment, I have an extra $500 to throw towards whatever. And they'll actually try to calculate for you which one you should throw it down. It calculates for you which one to throw the extra towards, how much it's going to impact the balance, and how much it's going to save you in interest over the term, and then how long it's going to take you to pay that off.
Sounds similar to like the snowball effect.
Yeah.
We have heard that, the Dave Ramsey stuff before. Do you want to touch on that a little?
Yeah, absolutely. So I do listen to Dave Ramsey videos. He's a little harsh, so I don't necessarily think that a starting person that is a little self-conscious about their finances, go watch him, because he is a little harsh. But most of his methods do work. And some of the debt pay down methods that he touches on, one of them is going to be the snowball method. So the snowball method is throwing all of your extra funds towards the smallest debt that you have first. So say, for example, you have, 3 credit cards, and the smallest one is $2,000 balance, and they just go up from there. His idea is that you pay off as much as you can towards that each month, pay the minimum on everything else, because it will be more motivational seeing that payment is eliminated, because it takes less to eliminate that one than paying just equal amounts to all of them. So that is a method, because it is motivational, that works for a lot of people. Again, Dave Ramsey kind of highlights that. But another one that works as well is called the avalanche method. So this is kind of what that BankRate does. The BankRate one, again, analyzes where you should throw extra money towards, and it analyzes it based on interest rates as well. It takes all of that into account. So it's not necessarily throwing all of your extra funds towards the lowest payment to try to get it paid off first. It's throwing all of your extra money towards the highest interest rate, because it does end up saving you money over the term. So that's kind of the two methods. Again, pick which one works for you. I know you shared the snowball method works better for you because it is more motivational.
It is. I've tried both methods before. So my first one I tried was the interest, because me working in the banking credit union industry, we don't like those high interest loans, credit cards. So I'm like, I need to pay down my highest interest one, but it just had a lot on it. So I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't feeling very motivated. So then I'm like, you know what? This one only has X amount of dollars, and it was my lowest one. So I just started doing that, and man, I killed it. Went way better at that. So I did try both, and it's okay to try both and figure out which one works.
Because as you pay down that other one, the money, and again, it's making sure that you are using those extra monies towards that, and not, going to get more coffee, or I need to go on a shopping spree, or things like that. It's taking that extra money towards the other debt, because it then does add up, multiplies itself. So we are all in the same situation. Like you highlighted earlier, the average credit card balance is what, $7,000?
It's almost $7,000 per card.
And so we're all in the same boat. I know very few people that are 100% debt free. So all of us need to work on the paying down debt, and we just have the tools necessary and the knowledge necessary. So that's why reaching out to your banker is beneficial. Absolutely. Because we know how to fix it. Absolutely. Again, we're working on it ourselves too.
Yeah. It is our job to help you. So we want you to feel comfortable coming to us. I want to mention that Financial Plus Credit Union also has GreenPath Financial. So if you do find yourself really in debt and you have tried doing it on your own and you're still not sure, you can call the credit union. We can give you the information for GreenPath Financial, and they can help you come up with a budget and a debt management program to help you. So if you're ready to get your finances in order, new year, we can help you with that.
So similar to like the apps that we've shared, the banking apps, the different budget apps, we were using, BankRate as a website that has all different kinds of calculators. It also has a budget calculator on there as well. So very simple, very electronic version. If you don't want to download an app, or your bank doesn't offer a budgeting app, there's also one on there as well. It allows you to plug in all of your numbers. And see where you're at. Obviously the income number should be higher than the debt number, and if not, you need to adjust somewhere. So,
and that's just
bankrate.com, and then you can go to the calculator option.
Awesome.
We talked about buying a car. I think one of the examples I wanted to highlight was when you buy a car or make a large purchase, making sure that you're aware of all of you talked about credit cards, but asking the terms of your loan and asking the interest rates and being aware of those things. Because again, when I bought a vehicle, had I not asked what my interest rate was or what my terms were, they probably would not have highlighted it to me. So being aware of those things, it does not hurt to shop around. It does not hurt to ask questions. And again, BankRate has one of those calculators as well. Being aware of how the interest rate will affect how much you end up paying over the term of the loan. Obviously the higher the interest rate, the more you're going to end up paying. So that $50,000 vehicle is going to end up potentially costing you, $60,000 over the term because of the interest rate that they're charging you. And people don't realize that when car dealerships show you the monthly payment, they're trying to get it in your head that you can afford this without actually highlighting how long they're terming the loan out for and what the interest rate is that they're getting that monthly payment for you with. So again, having those things handy even when you're at the car dealership, calculating it is on the paperwork. People don't realize, but they're like, sign here, sign here, sign here.
Yeah.
So just being aware of those things. So
right. I'm glad you brought that to our listeners' attention. Again, they're not in this industry, so they're not going to know, but us talking about it helps them be more aware. Make sure you're looking at that fine print. So looking at the term of your loan and the rate they're giving you, because that's going to determine how much money you're ultimately paying at the end.
yeah,
Thank you for mentioning that.
absolutely.
Thanks. Those are great resources. I'm sure there are other ones out there too. United Way. We do not have a loan calculator, a debt management calculator, but in the spirit of the new year, tax season is coming up. And United Way has a partnership with myfreetaxes.com. And it is an online platform where you put in your information and they help you do it yourself. Or you can contact them and have them kind of like give you a little more hand-holding. But for example, someone like me who doesn't know what a tax form looks like, it is a great opportunity to do it because I like to be independent and I want to say I'm going to do it myself. So I think that's a good way to do that. And it helps you learn, so you can maybe do it yourself next year.
Yeah.
So myfreetaxes.com, it's an online platform. You can have somebody help you. I think you can have them do it for you. I'm not sure what that would look like, but I do know that it's a good online tool for learning and figuring out for yourself.
That's great. I used to attempt to file my own taxes, and that would have been a good resource to use.
It's daunting. It's scary.
It is.
Because if you do them wrong,
you got the IRS knocking at your door.
Yeah, and they don't play around.
No.
They don't sweep anything under the rug.
No.
Not even for little old me. So what are some ways or some products, I guess, that our audience can utilize if they are wanting to build their credit? What are some action items?
Yeah, so a couple different products I would suggest are what's called a secured credit card. It's actually a credit card pretty easy to get approved for because you actually put a deposit down for it. And also what's called a credit builder loan product. So instead of, it works like a loan. Instead of the bank issuing you funds like a traditional loan would, it would actually put funds into a savings account for you. You're going to make monthly payments, building up your credit history.
Okay.
And some of the other ones I would suggest, not necessarily products, but different tips to use. Obviously using credit cards to make purchases that you would have otherwise paid anyways. Not going out to pay for something that you can't afford.
Yes.
One of the other ones is always paying your bills on time. That's an easy one. That's actually one of the things that affects your credit the most. 35% of your credit is your payment history. When they look at available credit, things like that are revolving like credit cards, using not maxing them out. So using less than 30% is what's recommended. And that actually shows that you're being responsible with the credit. And again, can reflect on your credit score. So obviously, you think about having $10,000 accessible to you in credit card debt and you owe $9,000, that's going to significantly impact your credit score. So they suggest being at that 30% or lower. So
okay.
Having a mixture of credit on your credit report. So
like credit to me is just a credit card.
yeah, credit cards, loans, even types of loans. So they look at different types of loans differently. Mortgages weigh a little differently than, say, an auto loan or an unsecured personal loan or credit cards. So having a good mixture of those. And not only is that reflective in your credit score, but lenders look at that as well. Keeping older credit card accounts or credit accounts, not just credit card accounts, open. Maybe if you feel like you're going to be tempted to use it, maybe you cut it up for a little bit, but keeping them open. I think a lot of people rush to cutting them up, closing them, and then making them payments to pay them off. It's actually a good thing to keep them open if they're an old account. Because part of your credit, actually 15% of your credit, is length of credit history. So they're going to look and see how long those credit accounts have been open for as well. So that's why, when they look at right after you've done a loan inquiry, say you went and bought a car, that new account on your credit is going to impact it a little bit as well because you have some new credit history too. They're looking at the average of all of your accounts too. And then obviously the big one is avoid your accounts being sent to collections. Yes.
Which is a relatively new concept for me. I know what it means to be sent to collections, but I was shocked to see how easily that you can be sent to collections.
You think about that, I don't know, Verizon phone you canceled and you didn't realize you had a last bill and you didn't pay it. Those are still very, very likely to be sent to collections, and those items drag your credit score down quite a bit. So again, it's kind of an indicator to new lenders that might be using your credit report and credit score that you didn't pay on the original terms of how you agreed to pay this other person. So they're less likely to then issue you new credit as well. Yeah, and obviously the more you have, the more balances, the more collection accounts you have, the worse it's going to impact your credit score, and the less likely a new lender is going to be able to issue you new credit. But those things aren't going to go away, and they're going to have a significant negative impact on the credit score. So.
Yeah. And it's definitely, I'm sure, easier to manage rather than, once you're there in that hole.
Absolutely. Yes, because we talk about the debt that you're trying to pay off, the credit card debt and things like that when people are in those situations. Those are open accounts that you're paying on. The collections are just dragging you down because those are accounts that you're just not paying on at all. So that's an even deeper hole you've gotten yourself into. Again, it's not impossible to get out of it, but you have to be aware of them too. People that don't look at their credit report may not even be aware something's out there and is impacting their credit score. So yeah.
And I know, so I know when you, for example, when you go to get a loan and they pull your credit report, that affects your credit as well. And so are there ways to see what your credit score is without that effect? Or
yeah, absolutely. A lot of credit cards actually allow you to see what they call it a FICO score, what your FICO score is. It's just a certain model of a credit score. They're all going to be a little bit differently, but again, you should at least have an idea of around where your number is. I use Credit Karma as well. There's also, paid versions out there that will allow you to monitor your credit for you, help you avoid identity theft and things like that. There's a website called annualcreditreport.com. It is free. It does not give you your score, but it allows you to see your report at least once a year from each credit bureau. So again, there's TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax. So they're all three a little different. They each have a little bit different scoring model, a little bit different range of what scores look like. And different creditors might report to one versus the other. So you always want to be aware of, at least on average, what each looks like from time to time. Yeah.
And I know my money is at Financial Plus, and they have on their app, their mobile banking app, they have a little tab where it gives you, I don't know if it's exact or if they give you like an idea of what it's at, or
it's a FICO score, right?
It is your actual credit score. So if you're on your online banking, you've logged in and you hit credit score, it's going to redirect you and show you your credit score and everything on it. So I think that would be beneficial for you if you don't know it. And it tells you the history, what are good and bad things on your score, so you can always know, and it's not a hard hit. I know as you guys are talking, I'm like, this would be perfect in there. And then I'm like, oh, Josie needs to look at this.
I'm glad you mentioned that because my car loan is with Financial Plus, and so I saw that it's on your guys' app.
Yeah, it's fairly new and love the features. I'm always like, yes, it's going up. Why did it go down?
Yeah.
I'm always looking at it.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to United Financially. And again, Ashley, thank you so much for all of your knowledge, input, tips, and tricks that we can share with our community and our listeners. Again, we are just like you, so we hope that we can help you. Stay tuned next month. We are going to be dabbling in stocks and investments. I personally know nothing about the topic, but I am very interested because I want my money that I work so hard for and my husband to earn more money. So how do we make our money earn more money? And so next month we're going to be talking a little bit about stocks and investments and where to start.